You know, working with tech all the time, I sometimes forget that not everyone knows about even the most basic of things. Example? Well, the various standards of network cables, Cat5 versus Cat6. This is another episode of What's the Difference?
WD Purple Storage offers all-frame technology built for always-on HD surveillance security systems.
There are two main types of Ethernet cables that most consumers will come across. Category 5, aka Cat5, and Category 6, or Cat6. Let's start off with Cat5. It will handle speeds of up to 100 megabits per second at a bandwidth of 100 megahertz. This is the most basic type of Ethernet cable that you'll find. Actually, that's slightly not true. Cat5 is actually obsolete. Most of us will encounter Cat5e. The E stands for enhanced. Nowadays, if you live in a house with built-in network jacks, the cables used inside the walls are most likely Cat5e. Now, there are two benefits of Cat5e over Cat5. The first being able to reduce crosstalk. Basically, it's better at keeping signals on different circuits or channels from interfering with each other. The second benefit is being able to handle higher speeds. Cat5 was not able to handle 1000 megabits per second speeds, whereas Cat5e can. Let's move on to Cat6. Cat6 sees huge improvements over Cat5e. It's also able to handle gigabit Ethernet speeds like Cat5e, but now it does so at a bandwidth of 250 megahertz. Cat6 cables now also come with an internal separator that isolates the pairs of cabling. Cat6 is suited more for commercial and business networking solutions where performance is a must. But, of course, because of better performance and better isolation, they sometimes come at a higher cost. Here are some various cables. We've got ones from different manufacturers, colors, and of course, different categories. Now, I actually couldn't get my hands on regular Cat5, but like I mentioned earlier, it's because it's obsolete. When I used to work retail, there were actually customers who came up to ask if a certain color sleeving of cable is faster than the other. And to debunk that, I've dissected them to show you, the audience, the actual innards so you can get a better idea of what's inside. So, here we have 3 different Cat5e cables in different colors. You can see for yourself that the insides are the same despite having different sleeves. It doesn't mean it goes any faster or slower than the other cable, it's just a way of color coordinating for organization purposes. Here we have different Cat6 cables. This time they're cut open to show off the internal isolator I mentioned earlier. Also, this one is a shielded cable. Now you can see that these bad boys are very well insulated as each pair is wrapped in a foil material and the 4 pairs are then again shielded with a braided layer. Obviously these ones tend to cost more. Once in a while you'll see the term snagless come up from time to time. That just simply means that the cable has an extra cover to prevent the locking clip from catching on something. I would definitely recommend buying snagless cables over the non-snagless type. And for those of you who are crimping your own cables, you guys can buy connector boots to make your DIY cables snagless.
What's good with Cat7? Yeah, we're not there yet. Yeah, but there's no point. They sell it, but
You know, I was talking to one of our vendors. They said that in the UK, they're like, "Oh, everything's Cat7 now."
yeah, it is. But I don't think it's going to be that way here for.
They have
for a
cameras on
while.
every single corner, so they probably use that for
Wow.
wide world networking.
So if you're installing, sometimes we're on jobs. We got to run out to Staples to go buy network switches. I mean, I have ran to Staples on jobs, I don't know, 50 times going out to buy switches. So there's different types. We need to make sure that we're just aware of it because the speeds of how all this crap works and travels is, pertinent to us. So, a lot of the cheaper switches, you go get like some little, like one of these little Netgear switches, and you might get one for $20 at Staples, and some of them say fast Ethernet. That's something we're not going to want to use anymore. We want to make sure at least we get gigabit switches, which Cat6 will handle, Cat5 will handle too, but at least it gives us the 1000 rather than the 10 and 100. So the 10 gigabit Ethernet, there's not really too many devices that even are traveling that fast, so we're not too worried about it. Alright, and these are some terms, when we deal with network connections, kind of the terms we see within, being able to set things up in our network connections. So, I'm going to back out of this real quick and just kind of go over a couple basic things with like the router and whatnot. So let's see where we're at. Okay, so, alright. So on our computer, a lot of times when we're trying to log into things, especially when we're doing programming, when we're doing network stuff, one of the basic spots we're going to go to do things is down here where you've got your little Wi-Fi signal. So obviously that's where all our Wi-Fi networks are. Then we come here to Open Network and Sharing Center, and this shows us what we're connected to. So if I had another LAN connection underneath it, it would show the LAN connection. So it shows everything that you're connected to here. So if we click on that, it brings us to the network connection status. So in here, when you hit details, this shows you everything about the connection of your computer. It shows you what you're connected to. The physical address is also called the MAC address. It shows that we're DHCP enabled, and then it gives the IP address of my computer. So that's helpful because a lot of times every device that's on a network has a unique address and has a unique IP address. So a lot of times if I have to log into something to program it, and it comes stuck, because some of these stupid manufacturers, BSS doesn't do it, but a lot of the other ones like Clear One and things like that, they have IP addresses that aren't standard. And say instead of like a 192.168.1.1 address, it's like a 10 dot something. So in order for me to even connect to a lot of those devices, I actually have to go in to properties, to Internet Protocol version 4, and then use the following address and type something, that's in that same range as the other one. So when you're programming, when you're logging into things, these are a couple spots that you're going to be in constantly, all the time, on your computer. The other area is you can change your adapter settings. Whether you're on your network connection or on your wireless connection, that all gets changed and done from that area. So we're going to log into a router real quick. Let me go back here. Alright, so it brings us to the login page, admin, password, default. Alright, so this is kind of the, let's see. We'll go to the basic. This is the home page for most routers. Every manufacturer has a different home page. This is just kind of what Netgear's is. So, when we set up a router, when we set up these things, most of the time what we end up doing is changing the wireless to whatever we want. So, let's see here. So, you've got the wireless network here. You've got two networks, a 2.4 gig and a 5 gig. If you look at the speeds here, the 2.4 only goes up to 300. The 5 gig goes up to 867, which is almost 3 times as fast. So the name underneath it says the SSID. So the SSID on these is Netgear 22 and Netgear 22 5G. The SSID is what gets broadcasted. So when you're looking for names, you'll see Netgear 22 5G and Netgear 22. That's what the SSID is. So if you want your network to be something else, conference, Wi-Fi, that's what you would change. You would change the SSID, and then you could change the password as well, and then you would hit apply to change it, and it goes through its update, whatever. So these are kind of some of the basic things that we end up doing, on most jobs where we're, using networking, is changing the Wi-Fi, changing the password. We're going to go in here in a second.